The twin suns of Clyra 9 hung low in the orange sky, shimmering against the dust that never seemed to settle. My ship, the Wayfarer's Hope, had taken a hit from a meteor storm 2 days ago, leaving me stranded among the crimson canyons of this barely mapped world. I had enough rations for a week, water for 3 days, and the nearest Federation outpost was 2,000 kilometers away. Still, I'd seen worse. I was a scavenger by trade and a survivor by necessity. That's when I heard it, the faint, high-pitched whine of an engine sputtering out somewhere beyond the ridge. Another crash. I climbed to the top of a sandstone bluff, shielding my eyes against the glare. Down below, something small and sleek was half buried in the sand. Shuttle. At first, I thought it was a Federation drone, but when I got closer, I saw the symbols etched into its hull, curved organic runes glowing faintly green. Not human. The cockpit canopy had shattered. Inside, tangled in pale vines of what looked like living metal, was a figure. Small, slender, humanoid, with silver-blue skin that shimmered like wet glass. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. She couldn't have been more than 16 in human years. An alien girl. I hesitated. The Federation had strict rules about interference with unregistered species, but leaving her there to die wasn't an option. I pried open the canopy and lifted her out. Her skin was cold but not lifeless. When I slung her over my shoulder, I noticed something, a wound on her chest that was pulsing faintly with light, like an injured bioreactor. That was the moment I realized she wasn't just an alien. She was part machine. A stranger in my camp. I brought her back to my makeshift camp by the wreckage of the Wayfarer's Hope. The suns were dipping below the horizon, painting the world in molten amber. I laid her down on a tarp, cleaned the wound, and did what I could to stabilize her energy signature with a portable fusion cell. She woke up around midnight. Her eyes snapped open, glowing white for a moment before dimming to a soft violet. She sat up fast, panicked, her hands trembling. When she spoke, her voice was like a harmonic note, layered and resonant. "Who are you?" "I'm Captain Jace Marrow," I said. "Freelance salvager. You crashed. I pulled you out." She blinked, scanning her surroundings with rapid precision, like she was recording every detail. "Why?" Shrugged. "Didn't seem right to let you die." She tilted her head. "Humans rarely risk themselves for what they don't understand. Guess I'm not like most humans." For a long moment she just watched me. Then she nodded once. "My name is Kiri." Her speech was fluent, though her accent had that melodic undertone of a species that communicated partly through resonance. Over the next few hours I learned fragments of her story. Her people, the SciFi, were a nomadic biomechanical race traveling between systems via organic ships grown from living tissue. Her shuttle had been scouting for mineral deposits when a Federation probe attacked, mistaking her for a threat. So she crashed here, on a world barely within charted space, and would have died if I hadn't found her. By dawn, she was strong enough to stand. She looked around the camp, curiosity sparkling in those violet eyes. "You live like this?" "Temporarily," I said, checking the power readings on my distress beacon. "Until rescue comes." "Your rescue," she said softly. "Or mine?" That question lingered longer than I wanted it to. The days of quiet. For the next 3 days, Kiri stayed with me. We fell into a rhythm. She helped me repair the solar cells. I taught her how to cook dehydrated rations. She claimed they tasted like compressed despair. In return, she showed me things that defied human engineering. A wristband that could bend light around her form, an organic data crystal that sang when you held it near heat. Despite her alien nature, she was kind, curious, almost human in the way she smiled at the smallest things, the shimmer of water in a flask, the way sound echoed off the canyon walls. But there was always something distant in her gaze, like she was listening to voices I couldn't hear. On the third night, while we sat by the campfire, she asked, "Jace, if your kind found mine, what would they do?" I hesitated. "Depends. The Federation might try diplomacy first. But if they think you're a threat, they would study us, dissect us." I didn't answer. She stared into the fire, her face unreadable. "My people don't fear death. But we fear capture." That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how she looked when I found her. Broken, alone, terrified. And how, even now, she probably knew more about me than I ever could about her. For the silence before the storm. The morning of the fourth day, everything changed. I woke to the sound of my motion sensors screaming. The display on my wrist pad flashed red. Multiple heat signatures approaching, fast. Kiri was already awake, standing at the edge of the camp, her eyes glowing with pale light. "They're here." "Who's here?" "My kin," she said. "They've found me." Before I could respond, the air shimmered. From beyond the ridge came a low hum, deep and resonant, like the world itself was vibrating. Shapes emerged from the dust. Tall figures clad in living armor that rippled like water, carrying weapons that pulsed with bioluminescent veins. Behind them, enormous creatures, half organic, half mechanical, crawled across the rocks, each one larger than my ship. In the center stood a towering figure draped in silver membranes that moved like wind-blown silk. Her eyes burned with the same violet light as Kiri's, but sharper, older. Kiri's mother. The tribe surrounded my camp in absolute silence. Not a shout, not a threat, just a wall of shimmering living presence. The matriarch stepped forward. Her voice echoed through the air without her lips moving. "You trespass among the SciFi, human." I raised my hand slowly. "I didn't mean any harm. She was injured. I helped her." The matriarch's gaze flicked toward Kiri. "You have touched what you do not comprehend. My daughter's life is not yours to claim." Kiri stepped between us, defiant. "He saved me, mother. Without him, I would have been consumed by the sands." The matriarch's expression softened, barely. "Then his debt is paid. He will not suffer." I frowned. "Not suffer. That sounds reassuring." One of the warriors stepped forward, raising a weapon that hummed with dangerous energy. "Wait!" Kiri shouted. "He is no enemy." Her mother turned to her. "You are young, child. You know not the ways of the outer worlds. This species burns what it touches. Always." For a long moment, silence stretched between them. The air itself seemed to vibrate with tension. Then Kiri did something unexpected. She took my hand. "He is different," she said. "He acts with compassion, not conquest." The matriarch's eyes narrowed, focusing on where our hands met. The glow from Kiri's skin bled faintly into mine, leaving a faint trace of light. Then the matriarch said something that chilled me to the bone. "He carries your imprint." The bond they took us to their encampment, if you could call it that. It was like stepping inside a living organism. Walls pulsed with slow, rhythmic energy. The air was filled with the hum of bioelectric communication. I learned that in saving Kiri, by connecting my fusion cell to her biocore, I'd inadvertently linked our life patterns. My energy signature had fused with hers, creating a resonance bond. It meant that if one of us died, the other would begin to fade. The SciFi saw it as blasphemy. The matriarch wanted to separate the bond, a process that could very well kill me. Kiri begged her to wait. He risked his life for mine. There must be another way. There is, her mother said darkly. But it will cost us dearly. While they deliberated, I spent the night in a chamber that seemed to breathe. The walls emitted a faint heartbeat. I thought about escape, but there was nowhere to run. The SciFi were faster, smarter, and had ships that moved through space like living stars. Kiri came to see me before dawn. I won't let them harm you, she whispered. The bond between us is not a curse. It's proof that two worlds can meet without destruction. You really believe that? She nodded. I have to. 6. The choice. By morning, the matriarch gathered her tribe in a circle. Her voice filled the canyon like thunder. The human's life is tied to ours. To sever him would bring decay to my bloodline. To spare him risks contamination of the species. She turned to me. Jace Marrow, you have bound yourself to the heart of the SciFi. What will you do with this gift? I swallowed hard. I didn't ask for it. But if there's a way for our kinds to understand each other, maybe it starts here. The matriarch studied me for what felt like an eternity. Then she did something no one expected. She bowed her head. So be it, she said. Let the bond remain. You will carry the mark of the SciFi, and through you, the human federation will learn that we are not prey. Her gaze shifted to Kiri. You will guide him when the time comes. And just like that they left. The SciFi vanished into the rising heat haze, their living ships dissolving into beams of light. Kiri stayed behind, her expression a mix of relief and sorrow. 7. 3 suns rise. Weeks passed. Rescue never came, but I didn't need it. Kiri and I rebuilt my ship using fragments of SciFi technology, organic metal that grew like coral under our touch. She taught me their songs, and I taught her the stars by name. The bond between us didn't fade. If anything, it grew stronger. I could feel her emotions like whispers in my mind. Fear, curiosity, hope. One morning, as the 3 suns rose over the canyon, she stood beside me, her hand warm against mine. When your people come, she said softly, they will see what we built here. Maybe they'll understand. And if they don't, she smiled faintly. Then we keep building. The horizon shimmered with light, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone in the universe.